and welcome to our children's book talk. I have several books here today, and I picked the theme apples because we're coming into apple theme. So all the books have something to do with apples. And here, I'll give you a shout out. Okay, let's just jump into this. This is Ida B and her plans to maximize fun, avoid disaster, and possibly save the world by Catherine Hannigan. And this is about 9-year-old Ida B. Applewood, and she has been homeschooled ever since she was in kindergarten. And her family lives in the country next to an orchard. You know, all the land is hers. And so a big part of her life is all the land and nature. And she lives out in nature. She can't wait to get outside. And it's come to the point where she has actually named the trees. She talks to the trees and the babbling brooks. And one day the trees and the other living creatures tell her that something terrible is coming. And Ida is like, oh my gosh, what could it be? And then she notices that her parents are acting kind of funny, and her mom gets sick, and she goes to the hospital, and they find out that she has cancer. So she has surgery. She now has to go in for treatments, which make her very tired, and she sleeps all the time. And this has just shaken up Ida's world. And on top of all that, her dad comes to her and says, we're going to have to sell some of the land in order to pay your mom's hospital bills. And because your mom is so sick and she's having to do treatment, she's not going to be able to homeschool you, and you're going to have to go to public school. So now Ida's world has been turned upside down, and she loves the land. Like I said, she loves the trees. And she is angry that she has to go to school. She's never had to do that. She's not quite sure what to do. So she already hates school before she's even gone. And she doesn't like her parents. She doesn't like anything. She finds out that one of the girls from school is actually who is moving in next door. They're building a house. And so she puts up all these signs that are scary, like prone to sinkholes, rattlesnakes here. And she asked the girl about it just nonchalantly, hey, I've seen these signs. And the girl's like, oh yeah, we think the signs are funny. Okay, so this just riles Ida B up even more. So find out how her mom, affairs with her cancer and her treatments, and how Ida does in school and with the land. This is a very good book, Ida B. and Her Plans to Maximize Fun, Avoid Disaster, and Possibly Save the World by Catherine Hannigan. The next one is Clara Lee and the Apple Pie Dream by Jenny Han. And Clara, she has crowned herself the king of fall because she loves everything about fall. The leaves, the apples, the apple cider, the pumpkins, the weather, everything about it. And she also wants to be Little Miss Apple Pie. And it's coming up. This is festivals coming up. And she really wants to be Little Miss Apple Pie. And in order to become Little Miss Apple Pie, there is a Miss Apple Pie, and she's a high school girl. And Little Miss Apple Pie is a younger girl like herself, and they get to ride on the float, and she gets a sash, and she wants to be Little Miss Apple Pie. But she doesn't really want her best friend Shayna or her little sister Emmy to know that she cares that much. And she has to be very brave, because in order to be considered for Little Miss Apple Pie, she has to get up in front of the whole school and tell them what she likes about her town. And she is very good at a lot of things, but talking in front of people is not her cup of cocoa, and that's her words. She also has a bad dream about her grandfather who lives with him, who the whole family's Korean. Her grandfather, of course, is Korean, and he is learning English through her, and she talks about her dreams all the time, and it's a bad one that he dies. And so every morning he asks her about her dreams, and she doesn't want to tell him on this particular morning. And finally, the little sister kind of spills the beans because Clara has woke her up and told her about this terrible dream, and she's very upset. So Clara tells her grandfather, and he says, "Oh, no, no." He says, "That's a good thing. In our culture, in the Korean culture, when you have a dream that somebody's dying, that is actually good luck." And Clara, she's doesn't know if she really believes that. So she heads off to school. She gets to sit in the back of the bus. She gets to school and she finds a candy necklace in her desk. At lunchtime, she trades lunch with people, and it's like the best lunch ever. So she's like, and she gets an A+ on the story that she wrote. And so she's like, okay, maybe this lucky thing, maybe this is true. And so this is the day that she has to either sign up for this Little Miss Apple Pie or not. So she signs up, and a girl in her class says, "Well, I've signed up too, and I'm probably going to get it because my great 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 grandfather actually founded this town." And she said, "So I'm pretty much going to probably get this." And then she says something that is very hurtful to Clara. She says that, "And I'm American like apple pie." And like I've said, Clara is not. But she was born in America, and so now she starts to rethink everything, and maybe this is not such a lucky day after all. It's a very good story, and these are not super big. And there's some pictures in here. It's a very good story. Find out how Clara perseveres with her classmates, with herself, and does she win Miss Apple Pie? This is Clara Lee and the Apple Pie Dream by Jenny Han. Okay, so the next one is Ready Freddy, Apple Orchard Race, and this is by Abby Klein. And this is in our series book, so there's a series of these. And this is, there's a lot of pictures in here, and it's a quickie. Freddy is a first grader, and they're heading to the apple orchard for the day to pick apples and drink cider and all the wonderful things with fall. But there is a twist. There is a hidden apple, a wooden apple, and whoever finds it will win $5. And so he's so excited. He wants to win this $5. But there is a kid at school, Max, who cheats at everything. I mean, everything. And he goes on to tell you that it's some of the silliest things. Who can drink the water the fastest? Well, Max is just ready to go, and he's not listening to the rules. And before they even start, he's already tripped Max, and it does not start off good. So check it out. Like I said, there's more in the series, but this one is about the apple orchard race. Find out what happens to Freddy, what happens to Max. This is Ready Freddy, Apple Orchard Race by Abby Klein. Okay, this last one, I read this with a Kleenex in my hand. And it's written like poetry. Can you guys see that? In short, and so it's each chapter is by Faith, Uncle Arthur, or Peter, and then it's not even a chapter. It's like a short little poem, but it tells the story. And this one, that's very ornate and pretty, is told by Aunt Lucy. So let me tell you about this book. This is a shorty, and this is called Applesauce Weather by Helen Frost. It was such a good book. So this is about Faith and Peter, their brother and sister, and they live in an orchard. And their great Aunt Lucy grew up there, and her neighbor, who was Arthur. They grew up, they planted an apple seed when they were very young, and as they grew up, the tree grew, and they liked each other, and they eventually got married. And then this tree was a full-grown tree like this, and they then moved into the orchard after her parents moved out. Now they have moved in there, and every year when the first apple falls, they make applesauce. And this is just a tradition. And Faith and Peter's family would come over for this. Well, now Uncle Arthur, great Uncle Arthur, and great Aunt Lucy have had to move into town because they just can't keep the place up. Now Peter and Faith live there. Well, unfortunately, Aunt Lucy passed away last year. And now this year, the first apple has fallen, and Faith is waiting underneath the tree on the bench for Uncle Arthur because they always came into town, and she's wondering, will Uncle Arthur come this year? And her mom says, you know, he probably needs some time to grieve. He's probably not going to come. But she has faith in him. She knows how much that he loves this tree and the orchard, the farm. And so she waits all day, and he does show up. And he always told these great stories. I mean, he would just keep the kids so interested. And he's missing part of his index finger. And every year they ask him, what happened? And he would tell some far-fetched story about Aunt Lucy chopped it off because he snuck a cookie. He said a crocodile chewed it off. Just very humorous. And they've always wanted to know, but he's never told them. And here's Uncle Arthur. He comes finally in the night. He comes that night. And so he tells a little bit of the story. And then Peter, who he says, oh, you know, he's the older brother. He's like, you know, he's not going to come. And he's pretending like he doesn't really care, but he does. And even her mom is like, oh, I don't think so. But surprisingly enough, his favorite gingerbread cake is there when he shows up. Read this story. It's a shorty, and it was just so quick. I read this in probably 25 minutes because it's written kind of like in, it's not rhyming like a poem. It's just a wonderful book. And get your Kleenex. It's just so good. And this is Applesauce Weather by Helen Frost. Okay, so I can't even tell you words how great that book is. Okay, so I will not be doing book talks next Friday, but I will be back the following Friday to talk about some new books. Donna, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for joining me, and I will see you 2 weeks from today. Bye, thank you.